Hey everybody, this is Pete from Pa Labs, and I wanted to do another video in the understanding of objects and pointers and all of that. And this time, I spent 8 hours in the car yesterday driving home from vacation, and I was thinking about this and decided I should use more pictures. So towards that end, this kind of popped into my head. And so what I want to do is show you, this is my screen. Okay, we're going to build this screen. What I want to show you here is that you're using pointers constantly in PureBasic, even though you don't know it. So you're using references to pointers, you're using all of this. And so what I want to do is graphically show you this. So I built a screen, my screen. It's got a pound window 0. It's got various attributes and whatnot. Then I put a text field on here, and he's got various attributes and right justify and whatnot. And then we put in a string, and I'm not doing my normal naming and all the fancy stuff. I wanted to keep this short and sweet so I can fit a whole bunch on my pictures. So, and then finally we put a save button. Okay, he's button 1. So if I look at the generated code here, and I see if I can grab that. There we go. So we have the generated code down here. I took this and then pasted it into PureBasic and then kind of condensed it. So we'll start up here with the enable explicit. I put together all the enumerations so they are all in one block. So starts out that Windows 0 is going to be a numerator 0, and then 1, 2, and button is 3. So we're all familiar with how enumerations work. It just assigns a value to the pound whatever enumeration name. So in terms of the object-oriented language, this is a reference and it has a value of 0. So this is saying, let me show you the next picture. No, let me go ahead and continue this. I'm sorry, I should probably write a script. We come down and we define a quit gadget. Then we open our window and we pass our alias for the memory address in here, and he goes and creates our window for us. So at this point, this is now an alias to a pointer that is in memory. The string gadget is created, the text gadget is created, the button gadget. Oh, and by the way, even our gadget quit can fall into this. And so we are now down here saying hide gadget. We're supplying him an alias to the pointer, and we're telling him to set its value here. Now, that's all quite abstract in your head, and I'm using big words and it makes no sense. So I came over to Paint and said, okay, this is paint.net, and said, if I looked at this from what we've done, we've now, look, this is the computer's memory. We've created a Windows 0 section of memory that we've assigned this alias Windows 0. We have another section of memory that is gadget text 1, gadget string 1, gadget button 1, and then of course our variable has to be stored in memory too. So if we come over to the memory registers, you would actually have, here's an alias, that's the friendly name that we're going to refer to this address in memory. This is all swagged. Um, so I'm going to say we're going to start at memory address byte 0 for 8,125 bytes is now reserved for window 0. Okay, it has a value, our alias has a value of 0, but it's pointing at this memory address. So this is our alias, can also be called a pointer. It's the friendly name for this address here. When you refer to pound gadget text, he has a value of 1. We're familiar with all of these, but he's actually pointing now to address 8126, and text fields, they're very small. We just have 250 bytes reserved. And then we have a string that now points to the third space in memory, and he's pointing to a memory address of 8375, and he's 500 bytes. And now all of these numbers are made up just to give you a for instance of what it is that's happening when you write code. So if you think in terms of pointers and aliases and all of that, when you build your enumerations, he creates this half of the table. He creates a value and an alias, a name, a human-friendly text name, and a value to it. The computer is going to be messing with the values, and these are physically your pointers that point to memory address 1. This 1 points to here. The 2 points to there. The 3 points to here. So here's your pointer. So when you pass a pointer, we're going to use the friendly name and say, I'm going to pass window underscore 0 to something. Come down here. Open window, window 0. Well, what you've just done is called this function open window or command. You've open window. So he goes, aha. So I have an alias and I have a value. And now I'm going to go do a block of memory that's for a window. Wha-bam, 8,125 bytes are now reserved. And the structure of that which is a window is now written to that area of memory. So later on in our code, when we say, display window whatever or hide window whatever, he goes, this is an alias. Let's get his value so I know the memory address of who he's talking about. And we're going to set this particular section to be on or off, which then changes that the screen is now hidden or it's shown. So same thing with the string gadget, the text gadgets, and all of this. So if we jump back over to our code, let's come down here to the next segment of code. Now we're going to say, hide the window. Here's our pointer. You're passing a pointer, an alias, that's our friendly name, which carries a value of 0. You're passing the pointer to this function, and this function is going to that memory address and changing a particular flag on that section of memory to false. And then he refreshes the screen, and now our window is visible or it's invisible, okay? When we come through our repeat loop, he's coming down here and he's repeat looping is doing nothing more than looking at the events that the window has created, and he's looking to see if anything has been turned on or called. And then if so, let's say for instance, close window has been called, then he's going to come out here and say gadget window quit goes to true. Okay, when he comes down here, which exits us out of this loop. Normally, the next line of code is close the window and then exit. So if we had our close window in here, then that would be, again, we're calling a function close window, and we're passing our alias, the pointer, to that function, which then acts on that block of memory. Now, I'm going to put this up here, and so you can get a good long look at it. Let's get the right picture here. And I just want this to soak in. Here it is in pictures for you, where we have the this little registry basically is kept somewhere in the computer. I couldn't, somewhere in memory, it's keeping track of all this junk. If you want to look at it as a block diagram, where he's blocking off this segment of memory, and yes, I made all the blocks the same size, but that was largely just to fit the text in. So you could say, okay, we've reserved this chunk of memory for the Windows 0, and that's going to be 8,125 bytes. This block of memory now is text, which is a whopping 250. Now, the reality is these are all completely different sizes. I couldn't even begin to tell you what those are. The gods of PureBasic could probably recite how and where this is all done with greater precision than I. So we're going to come across and just do this just to get people to get a grasp of what it is you physically really do. So when somebody says you pass a pointer or the alias, which is same kind of, they consider, most people in talking kind of put these these three values together and call it a pointer. You can call, this is the memory address. Both 0 points to him, alias points to 0, and 0 points to him. So this is the human-friendly version of what that number is, where it makes a lot more sense to us as we write code. It's easier for us to remember window_1 than it is to remember that, oh yeah, Windows 0, now what window was that? So you pass a pointer. So when I'm doing a video on Class Builder or just about anything, and I say you pass a pointer of a string gadget to a procedure, well, that's absolutely the same thing as this right here, this string gadget. Here's my pointer to that block of memory, and make it this big. So this function is acting on that pointer, which points to that block of memory that does these things. So you can pass that guy there, gadget string_1, to anything in PureBasic and act upon it. Now, that is a fundamental thing of virtually all languages. Anyhow, this is long enough. I just wanted to make sure that for those who didn't pick up on the other one, maybe this one will snap it all together for you. And that's the end of this video.